All right, let's talk. So I see a lot of people on X going back and forth about Norman and Haney and, trying to convince people, look, the fight gonna happen. This ain't Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford where you're not sure the fight gonna happen and people going back and forth, Pacquiao, Mayweather, you know what I'm saying? Or, like Ali and Mike Tyson. This is not a hypothetical. If the fight go on as planned, we're going to find out. Let me talk to this sparring partner. It don't matter. Sparring partners don't matter. Sparring partners are paid employees. And they're sparring partners for a reason. So, they can say this, they can say that, they can say, oh, I was there with him, I did this with him. Eventually the fight is gonna happen. As far as the fight, both fathers gonna chop it up and they gonna be the mouthpiece. And I did a film study and the Benavidez is coming soon, in Yard. I'm gonna throw both the prediction videos on the Patreon. I don't throw them up until the week of the fight, but you can watch the Haney shit right now. And obviously I think Haney's in a big uphill battle in my opinion. I think their whole thing is, who is Brian Norman beat? And, that question was posed to a lot of fighters before. I'm not saying Brian Norman is in the caliber of those fighters. Roy Jones, people say, well, who did Roy Jones beat? Muhammad Ali. People at one point say, who did Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali, beat at the time? This question has always been posed to fighters making that step. And right around the age of, Brian Norman Jr., a lot of those fighters answered that question. They answered that question, whether it was good or bad. Some people thought Fernando Vargas got put in too early with some of the killers, Cito Trinidad, Oscar De La Hoya, or whatever, But a lot of those, we've seen people rise, we've seen people fall. Antoine Douglas was supposed to be one of the hot shots at middleweight. He ran into that Mike Tyson dude. It was, it wasn't meant to be. We can just go up and down the line of guys that was supposed to be the guy. We can go up and down the line of the guys who actually, people didn't think was going, it was too soon or it wasn't right. Roberto Benitez winning the title in high school. Roy Jones beating James Toney. You could just go on and on with that list of guys that overcame. That you could say, oh, it's too soon or it's premature, is he ready? And a lot of these dudes that was asking that question to had a tremendous amount of fights. But then again, back then, the prospect, like the contenders or people, and also the people that y'all deemed journeymen, they were tough. They were tough. They were tougher than world champions today. So, it's been plenty of times, but one of the critical issues I have with Brian Norman Jr. is that he didn't look good when he was in there with other black fighters, and that tell me that he didn't look good when he was in there with other athletic fighters. That's the thing about it. Like, he looked great versus that Mexican he got the title off of. You know what I'm saying? He looked phenomenal. So that's the question that they're going to have to answer. Like, the competition, when I was watching them on ESPN Plus Fight Brothers, we was like, okay, what's the hoopla about this guy? You know what I'm saying? They cashed him out they was trying to cash him out versus Santiano. That's a fact. They was trying to cash Brother Norman out. And, the doctor ordered, a Mexican motherfucking, a Mexican mule. You know what I'm saying? Whatever going to Mexican, I got to rush him, y'all. Pretty sure they ordered it, and it was the right combination for the brother, to keep it real. Then he fought, Jin Saki. So matchmaking came into play. So now, can he handle the athleticism and the speed of an athletic black fighter? And I think Devin Haney, you could have made a case that this is where he should have been at the whole time at 147. And I know people get into punching power, and we had these conversations all the time. Damn near every fight y'all see, boxing beat power. Skills beat power. Every fight we see, skills beat power. Yeah, like you speeding like, dog, like, come on. Skills beat power. I don't know what's going on. Just see. Skills beat power. So every once in a while you get a power puncher that win, but I think that's really the question for Brian Norman. You know what I'm saying? Can he handle a boxer? Because, you know, he was looking like hot garbage in some of them fights they was putting him in ESPN Plus. He was looking hot garbage. People was like, this the guy that top rank, you know, was beating up everybody ass and sparring. So, you know, they coming in thinking knockout, you know, ready to cut the ring off versus Devin Haney. You know, Haney and them coming in looking to box, you know, stay behind the jab, you know, and box them and really, you know, and I think when you fight a guy like, if you Devin Haney, you got this type of fight, you got to be first. When you fight somebody that's, you know, think they're going to knock you out or they going to do what they want to have their way with you, you know, you got to go to that guy. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to him. That would be my advice. I'll go right to the power. So I take it right to him off the rip. But I think it's a good stylistic fight. When you fight a guy like Norman that's inexperienced, ain't really been to the deep waters, you can drown him. You can drown him. You know, you can drown him. You know, if I'm Devin, I look to, you know the guy gonna try to get off to a high start. I look to get off to a high start. I look to, you know, start quick. And then I, you know, try to get in my groove, and then I'll try to drown him late. That'd be my thing. I'll try to come out to a quick start and a quick finish. I sprint fast on the front end, and then on the back end, I pick it up and I sprint the back end. What they say, walk the route, run the straights, walk the rounds on the track. That'll be me. You know, the first I just come out hot, and then, you know, people talking about you gotta avoid the left hook and all that stuff. I mean, you can walk away to the left hook. You can get inside the left hook. You can feint him and bait him into throwing the left hook and counter the left hook. But if he throwing the left hook and he ain't got to worry about nothing coming back, you know, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. So either it's baiting him and countering the left hook, or it's getting off before he can get that left hook off. Or it's getting inside that left hook and mauling them on the inside. So that's the thing about it. Yeah, you could take that left hook away, but if he throwing it and it ain't nothing coming back, you know, that's a problem. That's how you take it away. If you don't allow him to get it off, but when he throw it, he must pay. He must pay. So I think it's a good fight. I think it's a good fight for the culture. You know, you look about it, you know, you think Norman got every advantage in the world, but the one advantage that he may not have is boxing, experience, you know, and being in there with an athletic fighter. When he was in there with some of the more athletic guys, especially the ones that look like, and I watch him, he seemed to struggle a bit. He seemed to struggle a bit, but when you moving up in weight like Dev, speed kills. Speed kills. You got to move up and beat guys with your speed and your skills. S&S. That's when you move up in weight. Speed and skills. That's your attribute. You know, if I'm them, I'm working on countering that, taking that left hook away. And the best way to take it away is baiting him and it's getting off first. And when he throw it, make him pay. Whether that's just, you know, something to the body, you know what I'm saying? You know, whether that's, you know, coming over the tie, I don't know. But front of my teeth. But, you know, you can make a case that should be the main event. You know, you can make a case. I feel like even though Norman won the interim title, I feel like he won the title. because Bud wasn't coming back down. I feel like he went into enemy territory, San Diego. That's basically Mexico, and I feel like he won that title. You know, you can't say that too. You can't say that Benavidez was gifted the WBC that he doesn't deserve. You know, so Norman won that title, in my opinion. You know, he won it. So, you know, just thinking about it, if I had to favor somebody, I probably would favor Norman. Especially after that last Ramirez thing, I probably would favor Norman right now. But I really ain't made up my mind. But I probably, if I was a bet man as of right now, I'd probably get Norman. But I probably think Norman gonna knock him out. He should. You know what I'm saying? We're thinking about it, but also when you think about it too, like I said, when he fought other brothers, he didn't look good. He didn't start to look good till he fought a Mexican and an Asian. So that's what's kind of got me on the fence right now, really thinking about it. Like, I'm kind of on the fence because, you know, they were struggling when they was fighting brothers. And very well, he might get outboxed. And then we don't know, can he take a punch? You know, what's his conditioning down the stretch? Can he, you know, in versus Santiago, he looked good. He was stepping it up. But, yeah, it's a lot of unknowns. It'll be a good fight. But hey, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link in the description, join the Patreon. Peace.